Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurfatina Dira and today my group will be presenting about whistleblowing. Before we go further, let me introduce to you on what is whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is a voluntary act which a person informs on another or makes disclosure of corruption or wrongdoing or any misconduct. The allegation of misconduct may be classified in many ways. For example, a violation of law, rule and regulation or direct threat to public interest such as fraud, health and safety and corruption. Whistleblowers may make their allegation internally, for example, to other people within the accused organization or externally to regulators, law enforcement agencies, to the media, or to groups concerned with the issues. The action is truly a moral act of an individual done out of a sense of duty to do the right thing to stop an illegal or improper behavior in an organization. So, who is the whistleblower? Well, actually, whistleblower is a person who could be an employee of a company or government agency disclosing information to the public or some higher authority about any improper conduct. It further defines improper conduct as any conduct that constitutes a disciplinary or criminal offense. There are two types of whistleblowing, which are internal whistleblowing and external whistleblowing. Internal whistleblowing, which is an internal reporting process for employees on any suspected incident of wrongdoing within the organizations. For example, setting up of an internal independent whistleblowing hotline to a non-executive director, such as the chair of audit committee or chair of the board of directors. On the other hand, external whistleblowing in circumstances when internal reporting of suspected wrongdoing fails, the whistleblower would then report to an external body such as regulators, the media, or they can call a public hotline set up to denounce corporate fraud and abuse. Alright, so we will move to the next part, which is the Whistleblowing Act. The Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 came into force in Malaysia on 15 December 2010 to facilitate reporting mechanism for whistleblowing and to protect retaliation against whistleblowers. The purpose of the Act is to make it easier for people to come forward with information about wrongdoing in both public and private sectors. The protection of whistleblowers and any person related to or associated with whistleblowing under Section 7 Part 3 of the Act comes in three forms. The first one is protection of confidential information such as the identity of the whistleblowers and the identity of the person perpetuating the improper conduct would also be kept in confidence. Secondly, immunity from civil and criminal actions. And lastly, protection against detrimental actions. So, what is the objective and purpose of whistleblower? The objective of becoming a whistleblower might be different from each perspective. While participating in behavior they believe is wrong might have a positive impact on one's career, most people voice concern about immoral and unethical practice at the workplace. As a result, they refuse to engage in behavior they perceive as wrong and unlawful. The driving forces behind their action are because of their sense of individual integrity and desire to safeguard the stakeholders. In many cases, the misconduct and wrongdoing of people in an organization put the stakeholders in danger. Other than that, someone motivated by the company's success probably will come forth as a source forward, which is known as a whistleblower. They put in a lot of effort to help the firm succeed and see it as a personal and public interest in their future. If a worker, manager, or department detects wrongdoing, that person may decide to come forward with the information to help the company and improve the business. If the company is always facing internal issues, mismanagement, and fraud, the company's reputation might be affected. Although reputation is an abstract notion, a strong reputation boosts its worth and gives it a sustainable competitive advantage.
Next is Top Glove Corporation Berhad. It was formed in 1991. It is the world's leading glove manufacturer. Small facility and glove manufacturing line turned into world's biggest manufacturer of rubber gloves. Top Glove Corporation Berhad distributes goods to the aerospace, automotive, cosmetics, and healthcare industries. Due to the rising COVID-19 pandemic, the world's biggest glove producer, Top Glove Corporation Berhad, concerns a supply shortage. Orders surpass the company's manufacturing capability. Top Glove can produce 200 million natural and synthetic rubber gloves every day. Healthcare costs and public knowledge of the COVID-19 pandemic are expected to drive glove demand up to 15% in 2021 and 10% in 2022. To meet demand, the company needs to hire 1,000 additional workers. Top Glove is unable to hire foreign workers due to rising demand for its goods. The only choice is to use the same employees and local laborers in packing. The corporation continues to employ a high number of employees due to rising product demand. However, the factory's reputation and image as one of the world's biggest glove producers were harmed. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the factory must follow the new SOPs, which is social distancing, wearing a face mask, and frequent coronavirus testing. After the first few months of infection in Malaysia, one of the Top Glove employees reported there were no more social distance indications in the workplace. Yet they said Top Glove did not regularly enforce the rules. They had to work in groups of up to a dozen people in packing departments. At Top Glove's company in September, a Nepali worker was fired for complaining about crowded quarters and lack of social distance with other employees. Since the pandemic started in 2020, there have been 5,000 verified COVID-19 cases in Malaysia's industries. As of November 23, Top Glove was required to shut down its factories and phases to allow for employee inspection. Top Glove's workers' quarters are small and poorly ventilated, according to the Labour Department. 1 meter distance and social distancing indicators were thrown away during the first months of coronavirus infecting Malaysia, said Top Glove whistleblower Kaka, a Nepali employee. Apart from that, workers reported congested canteens, factory gates, and dormitory buses with up to 20 people per room. Stockpiled food and electronic devices were visible beneath the bunk beds, with clothes and towel hangings from the bed frames. No one was wearing a mask in the dorm pictures. The Top Glove was unable to address several questions concerning the situation, including the questions of how many people were living in the rooms and issues prompted by images and a complaint from the employees. Moreover, the workers, who asked to remain anonymous for a fear of losing their jobs, stated coronavirus testing was not frequent. On September 23, Top Glove fired the whistleblower for releasing the pictures. According to a letter received by Reuters, he was a source of the factory's CCTV pictures. Top Glove dismissed Katka because he took pictures without consent from the management. Then he paid $400 for a plane ticket and $70 for a coronavirus test after being fired as a quality inspector. However, Katka believes that he did the right thing by reporting the problem at his former employer and was therefore unafraid to come forward. After a compensation claim, both parties decided to settle. The settlement prohibits the release of any information to a third party. In this case, we can summarize that the severe damage was caused by internal whistleblowing as compared with external whistleblowing. To keep away from the extreme harms and damage brought about by whistleblowing, the Top Glove might limit and minimize the danger by disguising the whistleblowing method as a feature of the corporate correspondences and communication. By having a legitimate whistleblowing procedure, associations remain to benefit from activities of informants that might create additional considerable unfavorable outcomes like loss of sales, lawsuit, and bad exposure and publicity.
Hi, my name is Takyuddin and I will continue with the case of Transmart Group Berhad. For the case description, Transmart Group Berhad is a Malaysian investment holding firm that specializes in air freight, aircraft engineering, and aircraft maintenance. Founded by Gan Bun On in November 1993 and was later listed on Bursa Malaysia on 27 June 1997. With a wide-range network of operations, Transmart has prided itself as being a company with stellar performances operationally and financially as well as its share price. However, in 2007, the company was hit with an accounting scandal. It started when the company failed to adhere to the deadline in submitting its audited annual accounts for the financial year ended 31st December 2006 to Bursa Malaysia for public release. Matters got worse when external auditor, which are Deloitte and Touch, declined to approve the annual accounts for lacking certain supporting documents. In response to that, the BOD has appointed Maurice Laureland Risk Management to conduct a special audit on the issue. It was later found that the revenues and profit had been materially overstated not only in the company's 2006 unaudited annual accounts, but also in the 2004 and 2005 audited annual accounts. The BOD then has lodged a police report regarding the false statement. As a result, the former CEO, CFO, and executive director were charged by the court for the submission of misleading financial statement. The company had also faced suspension and delisting from the Bursa Malaysia. From the case, it is clear that there are some elements of whistleblowing. The act of BOD of the Transmile to hire a third party to investigate their financial statements and lodge a police report regarding the false statement are examples of external whistleblowing. This had impacted the corporate image of the company badly. But why the whistleblowing does not make internally by such a big corporation? Does the internal audit department not function properly to perform the internal whistleblowing? Okay, let's now take a look on the issues related with the internal audit. Transmile has outsourced its internal audit function to Mures, Roland Risk Management, Sdn Bhd, an independent professional firm in the middle of 2004. Prior to 2004, the internal audit department supported the audit committee in managing the company's internal control system. Internal audit is responsible for providing independent assurance, which includes detecting and preventing fraud, testing internal controls, and monitoring compliance with business policy and regulatory regulations. However, the scope of auditing had only been on several specific areas as instructed by the audit committee. The internal audit was not expanded to some critical areas such as the sales and finance divisions of the company. Hence, it did not cover the review of financial statement. This gives rise to the question why a large capitalized company like Transmile opted to outsource its internal audit works to a third party against the norm of having it done internally, in-house. An internal audit is used to investigate and respond to complaints, particularly those involving fraud or corruption. Internal audits are critical in assisting the board of directors or audit committee in their supervision responsibilities. This includes the function of internal whistleblowing. Internal auditor could have reported the misconduct to a non-executive director, such as the audit committee chair or chair of the board of directors. And the red flags of the fraud or corruption could have been detected earlier internally before it became vast and eventually could determine the company's image. However, this function was jeopardized due to the limitation of tasks set up by the audit committee to Mures. If the scope of internal audit tasks covers all areas of the organization operation, internal whistleblowing could have been implemented effectively. Consequently, the accounting scandals of Transmile could have been avoided. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum to Dr. Aida and my fellow classmates. My name is Norazika binti Shan, so I'll be explaining about the pros and cons of the issues towards internal audit profession. So the first case is Top Glove Corporation Berhad. Based on the Top Glove Corporation Berhad, we can see that the rule of internal audit is crucial, that all disclosures are responded to quickly and adequately investigated. This issue might not be severe if the internal audit understands their roles and responsibilities and strengthens the internal control. Furthermore, whistleblowing is considered among the most cost-effective strategies for detective misconduct in an organization. So in this case, the internal auditor may use the evidence and information from the whistleblower to further investigate the issue. The second one is the audit failures and related claims against worldwide audit firms highlight the magnitude and significance of litigation risk to the audit profession. It has also additionally built up the significance of internal controls in setting up strong corporate administration strategies and directing viable audits. Auditors can easily diminish the threats of fraud by enhancing the litigation process in the future decision where appropriate. So by doing it, it can provide defensibility advantages that are able to protect whistleblowers and the company. Okay, as for the cons, there was a lack of internal control at Top Glove. that led to the whistleblower engaging the employee. In this scenario, the internal audit was not mentioned, so it proves that Top Glove's internal audit failed to carry out its responsibilities. Whistleblowing hotlines should be provided by Top Glove in order to prevent the problem from spreading across the organization, because it is a critical infrastructure for encouraging employees in an organization to do the right thing, and is frequently viewed as one of the most vital actions organizations can take to demonstrate their support to ethical behavior. As for the Transmile Group Berhad case, the pros is the improvement in the internal audit functions, since the public awareness on the corporate governance is high. So we can see that internal audit plays an important role in the public sector through their assessment of the effectiveness of risk management, controls and governance processes that will enhance accountability in the public sector. And it can be defined as the ability of internal audit to meet the results that are supposed to be generated as scheduled in an effort to achieve organizational objectives and also shareholders' needs. As for the cons, the first one is the loss of public confidence, since the internal auditors do not fulfill the society and organization's expectations. So according to this case, the fraud was detected through a special audit and the company's accounts and its subsidiaries by the third party, who was a forensic auditor. And it shows that the third party has blown the whistle and exposed the true color of the internal audit function of Transmile Group is not good and lacks knowledge, since the internal auditors do not perform their role and responsibilities effectively, that could lead to negative perception of the public of the internal audit profession. This is because the internal auditor of Transmile Group failed to demonstrate the highest level of professional objectivity within the collection, evaluation and presentation of the company's information. And the internal auditor should make a balanced assessment of all circumstances that are relevant and not influenced by the interests of self or others within making judgment.
Next is the positive and negative impact of whistleblower to the internal audit professions. The effective use of internal whistleblowers is very crucial in an organization, especially in the accounting profession. It can be used as a risk management mechanism and significantly reduce cheating, prevent fraud and corruption in organization. A whistleblower is closely related to the responsibility of internal auditors, because internal auditor is an independent member of the management in organization. Internal auditors should perform their role in reporting any fraud or suspicious activity to the boards of directors. This demonstrates that by promoting a whistleblowing culture, we can crack down on fraud and prevent unnecessary business loss. Unfortunately, becoming a whistleblower or exposing the wrongdoings of others, particularly co-workers, is a difficult undertaking. Whistleblowing frequently has negative consequences for whistleblowers. This is the risk that the employment prospect of whistleblower could be jeopardized by many external parties such as the media, investigators and legal bodies. For example, all the media exposure may backfire on the whistleblower, since they may be blacklisted in their field. Furthermore, the legal process or lawsuit may cause problems, and the whistleblower may face threats from a variety of sources, including past colleagues and managers. This might damage the whistleblower mental health. In conclusion, whistleblowing has affected many changes in company working conditions and industrial practices, which can be both favorable and unfavorable depending on the management's response to whistleblowing issues. This is critical to increase internal communication and encourage internal disclosure, which will allow management to take early corrective action before problems deepen or spread to other parties. Whistleblowing has many effects and consequences on business, including loss of validity, a decrease in customer, which brings about the business to loss financially. That's all from us. Thank you.
Whistleblower Lalita Kunaratnam has been issued a letter of demand by Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Commissioner Azam Baki over the publication of 2 articles on the purported share purchases by the latter. She has been asked to issue a public apology within 14 days, delete the articles about Azam, and pay 10 million ringgit in damages for tarnishing his reputation. Azam's lawyers said if she failed to comply, they would go ahead with legal proceedings for defamation. Lalita's articles were published by the Independent News Service, or INS, in December. In a recent tweet, she said she had received the legal notice from the top graft buster. "Thanks," she wrote in her tweet. She also posted a screenshot of the letter of demand asking her to cease and desist over 2 articles titled Business Ties Among MACC Leadership, How Deep Does It Go? Part 1 and Business Ties Among MACC Leadership, How Deep Does It Go? Part 2. FMT has contacted Azam and is awaiting a response. Meanwhile, economist Edmund Terence Gomez expressed shock that Lalita, who had raised legitimate questions of national interest, had been issued a letter of demand by Azam. Calling it an act of intimidation, he urged Azam to withdraw the notice. What Azam should be doing is to publicly disclose all his business interests in order to protect the image and integrity of the MACC, he said in a statement. C4 claimed that Azam had informed the media of his support for amendments to the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 on November 17th last year. "I believe more people will be able to become whistleblowers if they are confident that the relevant laws are there to protect them," it quoted him as saying. However, it said that, as proven by this case, its provisions are completely insufficient for the purpose of protection. They do not encourage or give confidence to potential whistleblowers to come forward with information. C4 said Azam should withdraw the letter of demand and prove to the public that the MACC genuinely advocated whistleblower protection. He must cease with threats to whistleblowers and, amid the mounting criticism, declare his assets at once, it said.